all hiring for the entire studio, and all of those people are going to be out of a job. That's it. And so let's go ahead. We'll look at a few more posts about this and look into it. Let me see if I can find any more of these. Where is the rest of it? I think there's a couple of other tweets that I did not see, but let me go back and I'll find it real quick. Yep. There we go.
Evo stavljam upravo. Jesse, šta radiš?
This is a commercial success, actually.
I? Nalicne.
Man. That sucks. It still didn't sell well? So, for context, just so you guys understand how much of a generational failure this was, let's assume at the most generous that they sold 1.5 million copies. They didn't. But let's assume that they did. That is almost 1/10 of the sales, or sorry, a little bit more than 1/10 of the sales.
Let me
that
show
Dragon
you more,
Age Inquisition had.
Duh.
And before you go and tell me that, oh, well, it came out a long time ago, do you really think that it's going to get 10 million more sales in the next 10 years? What are we talking about? Of course, that's not going to happen. So, Inquisition wasn't even that good. Well, it was certainly a lot better than this. And that's what's happened. Deconstructing a notion of a commercial success. Well, here's the reality. A lot of journalists looked at this game as a cultural battleground, and they defended it without thinking and without any degree of rationality or common sense. So what ended up happening is that they were defending a product and defending something that nobody actually wanted, and they damaged their own credibility. I don't know how it was possible for journalists to cut their credibility in half, because I thought you couldn't divide by 0. But somehow they've managed to do it. And they are even less credible than they were. And it keeps happening over and over and over. It's a return to form. Yeah, it is. The form is being a corpse. Go boy. He went private a few months ago. His last posts on X are from November 2024. He's moved over, so now he's posting only on Blue Sky.
I don't think I like this.
Show program.
Well, there it is. I don't know what to say. It's so fucking funny. So
Hello.
funny to me.
Greetings.
He roached out of Twitter, man. He did.
Hello.
I gotta get out of here quick. Yeah, EA, and to be fair, I think he did report on this himself and talk about it. I'd have to go back and look and see. Yep, no longer on
S.W.Frost
Twitter.
is now live streaming Diablo 4 digital artist
Man.
in look for hunt event redeem
What's he
codes.
saying on Blue Sky? Nothing. Guys, it didn't happen. This is free real estate for me. I love it. I do too. I think this is amazing. Because, and I also want to say, and this is absolutely me talking about the fact that I was right about everything. This was my original numbers for sales. And the number that I used for my estimation for how many copies this game sold was exactly accurate. And do you know why? By the way, do you know why I was able to do that? I'm not a wizard. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a palantir. I can't see the future. But I know how data works. And I know how to extrapolate data and expand it based off of a representative sample. And if you've taken, I don't know, 2 classes in college, fuck, I'm pretty sure high school has a class in this. It's so easy to do. It's so simple. And people were giving each other the runaround because nobody can do math. It's embarrassing. Then apply apply common sense. Yes, of course. You base too much on SteamDB? Well, if I base too much on SteamDB, and I've been accurate with every prediction
Hello.
that I've made based off of SteamDB,
Greetings.
I don't think that I do. I
Greetings.
got lucky? Well, man, I
Hello.
sure do get lucky a lot, don't I?
Greetings.
You were being honest, they
Hello.
weren't. That's true.
Hello.
And that's also, see, you know what? That's the bigger point. And I don't even think, there's a really,
Hello.
you bring up a very, very good point. I don't think Jason Schreier and a lot of these other people that were defending Dragon Age the Veilguard are stupid people.
Greetings.
I think that they are intelligent people, but they just have goals that are not the same as mine. So when
Greetings.
they can't see the truth, it's not because they can't see it, it's because they won't see it. They don't want to see it, and they don't want to accept it. So that's the real reason. Yeah, money speaks. Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's it. That's really what's going on. It's not that they can't do the math. I think that they probably had to have known this, but they just went with it and they towed the party line. And hey, it looks like they're sinking. That's it. The goal is being access media. No, I think that there are a lot of journalists and a lot of people that have invested in entertainment media that view their position in entertainment media as a responsibility of being a proliferator of an ideology.
Yes.
So they are trying to put forward an ideology to everybody. They want everybody to think the way that they do. And so what they do is they take instances of that ideology like existing and they make it look like it's better than it is. This game got a 9 out of 10 from IGN. Amazing. Guys, I think we really need to sit down and have an evaluation of who's writing and who's making these decisions. Because this is so distorted that, and I hope IGN hears what I'm saying. IGN is probably the best gaming website right now on the internet. I think IGN has a lot of problems, but it's the best one.
Nova matriča ploča dobijena
You
u
are
zameni
taking your
prodaje se jer je
credibility
višak
and
kupljena
somehow
je
you are
pre
dividing
par
it by
dana
zero,
što ima i
and it's
dokaz
worth it.
računa.
If you look at
Credible.
these different
Did you see
websites,
how hard it
Da,
fell?
točno.
actually, I'm not going to pull it up on
good
Google
work.
Trends. Every single one of these
The
gaming
beast
journalism
lives
websites
within
is
you.
totally fucking dying. And they are like
Goodbye.
at 10% of the relevance they
Oak
had
be
10
with
years
you.
ago. I'm not even kidding you. You can look it up and check the trends for
Matriču
yourself.
ploča ide
Look at
gratis
Polygon,
16 GB
Kotaku,
RAM,
IGN, any of them, PC
Spectrix
Gamer, etc.
D41
You guys
DD4 na
need to stop
3200
pushing bullshit.
MHz. I onda se
Because
stavio
pretty soon there's not going to be
specifikacije
anybody
ploče.
left to push bullshit to. And it's happening. Every single one of these times where you review a game and then the game is bad and people don't like the game, you know what happens? People take you less seriously and they think that you're stupid.
Matriču ploču ide i
Do
16
that enough
GB
times
RAM-a do
and people stop listening. Here's the big thing that I think a lot of people need
I onda
to
se stavio
understand.
specifikacije sa zvaničnog sajta.
Do
Da me ne bi
not
zbog
put
toga
divisive
zikali,
political issues in
provjeravali.
video games.
I to je
Your
to.
opinion of what is divisive is not relevant. What people's opinion of what is divisive is relevant. Anyway, so this is what's happened. Dragon Age Veilguard
It is done.
was a colossal failure. A massive... I do think that people will look back on this and say, man, maybe we shouldn't make games like that anymore.
Pa? A? Da? Jes. Da. Pa bukvalno. Eto viš. A ne, ja to zakučim i miran sam. Jo, kod mene ti je u suštini lag na komunikaciji, znaš. Koja mikrostara? Da. Kako ako me neko zove i pita u fazonu gdje
That's it,
garancija?
right there. McCready has to
Račun.
be the thing. Or not.
Is McCready a creature or not?
But Childs, on the other hand,
Račun ti garancija.
definitely has to be the thing. I mean, just look. But then again,
I still can't decide whether Childs is
Mislim oni tebi rekli da ti ne možeš dobiti garanciju na tu ploču. Rekli ste samo da ne možeš
or not, you couldn't ever
da je
know
vratiš
something
i zameniš.
that.
To ne
Who
možeš.
really knows, other than John Carpenter?
I guess you could call it ambiguous ending.
Me. I know. Because I have spent the last couple months looking at every single scene, every single behind-the-scene detail, rewatching the commentary on this movie.
I'm glad you got that.
For the whole movie.
And also listening so much to it that little minor sounds have made a difference and an impact on how I'm viewing the movie. And no, I'm not crazy because I can go through, explain it all, and help you to also understand the conclusion that I've come to about who is what at the end of the thing. So obviously there are 4 different possibilities for what actually happened at the end of the thing. 1 is that they were both human. 2 is that Childs is actually the thing and Mac is human. 3 is that Mac is the thing and Childs is still human. And 4 is that they are both now
Nije
the
realno
thing.
sam ovako
And so if you
umro
haven't seen
jednom.
this movie, well, honestly, I don't know why you're here watching this long of a video on a movie you haven't seen.
Most of you don't know what's going on around here.
So, spoilers, I guess. And for the rest of us that absolutely love this movie, I'm sure you already know which possibility you believe is true. And what I want you to do is either throw that in the comments or throw it out the window, because we're going to take our time, walk through each individual scene, look at the commentaries, the script, and the behind the scenes to figure out exactly what happened, how the thing operates, and come to the conclusion of what actually happened in the end together. And I'm pointing it out now because I'm not talking about the video game that came out in 2002, and I'm not talking about the prequel that came out in 2011, because as far as I can find, those are the only 2 things that people actually consider canon in the Thing universe, and that's still heavily debated. But my biggest issue is that it was 20 years and 29 years before either of those things came out. Because I'm telling you, there is more than enough information with things that are directly connected to the movie itself that we can get a confident answer and finally explain what happened at the end of the thing. And so to start us off, we have a word from our sponsor. Aura, because while you might not have to worry about an alien showing up and taking over your body, you do need to be worried about hackers trying to take over your identity. And no lie, here about a week and a half ago, somebody did leak my social security number out on the dark web, and I'm not happy about that. And the only reason that I even know about it is because of Aura, since they alert me anytime that my phone, my email, my social security number, any of my personal information that is leaked onto the dark web or gets picked up anywhere on the internet, they let me know so that way we can handle it together. And not only that, what's really amazing to me is they also have a whole system that helps to keep up with all of my banking information, as well as a system that helps to keep up with my credit to let me know if there's any suspicious activity going on. Aura's become this all-in-one app to help keep me protected from the internet and everything that goes on behind the scenes, but also with their built-in VPN service, it helps to keep me protected while I'm on the internet. And I'm so excited because they updated their VPN to where you can change your location to over 85 different countries. And it's all thanks to Aura, which you can try out for 14 days free with my link down in the description. Aura.com/poltergeist, where you'll be able to see if any of your personal information has been leaked out there on the internet, and give their VPN a try. Let me know what horror movies you find all across the world. And thank you so much for watching the ad. It helps way more than what you will ever know whenever you guys check out my sponsors. And with all of that, let's get back to the video. So in the opening shot of the film, we see an alien spaceship flying through space whenever it enters into Earth's atmosphere and actually lands down at Antarctica. Now, whether or not it crash lands or not, we're not exactly sure, but if you're asking me what happened, is that whatever was actually flying this ship was dealing with the same problem that our crew of 12 over at Outpost 31 is fixing to deal with for the rest of this movie.
You can look at this and you can see some of what other planets it's been to. What was there? What was on those planets? What did it run into that it had to imitate?
It is done.
And it's imitated every life form it's been, encountered.
And I say that mainly because if this thing did decide to fly down and land at Antarctica, it would easily be able to look around and go, not much here, get up and then fly to a different continent on Earth. But instead, it stays where it's at. It then is the only thing that gets out of the ship and then freezes until they're found by the Norwegians. So to me, everything about this thing points to it being an intruder, not just on Earth, but also on the ship. But what we actually need to worry about now in 1982 is this helicopter that is currently chasing this husky through the snow. And at first, it seems like this could just be a really intense way of trying to get their dog that escaped back. But then we see the dog is absolutely running for its life. And somehow, from who knows exactly how far away, this dog is able to navigate from the Norwegian base all the way to the American base at Outpost 31. And I'm going to point it out here, as well as many times from this point on, this thing is really, really smart. Even as the dog, it would be able to look up at one of the maps across the base and figure out which direction that it needs to go to make it to another base to start this whole process over again.
I will not
because our 12-man research crew of the United States National Science Institute Station 4 is only preparing for winter right now and is not worried about the Norwegians or what their dogs are currently doing. Because while the dog is currently evading bullets, we have one crew member who is currently working on the plow outside. We're not sure exactly who this is. We have 6 crew members that are in the rec room, which are Palmer, Blair, Windows, Gary, Copper, and Fuchs. And we have one other member that we actually see before everything goes south. Get it? Because they're currently in Antarctica. Who is sitting in his room by himself, drinking a bottle of J&B and playing chess on his fancy chess wizard here. And it's little things like this scene that made this video take a lot longer than it should have, because this game of chess makes absolutely no sense. Because McCready, who's the white pieces, he's able to move a piece that he literally doesn't have. And after he successfully does this, he then makes the comment, but then whenever we see the board again, it's a completely different setup.
Oh,
and there's no way
I am in your debt,
to this
stranger.
With just one
Please don't
move.
be afraid
but
of
with
me.
the setup that the computer now has, it would simply be able to move the queen from bishop 3 to rook 5, and then it would be able to actually win the game. But instead, what we hear is, which means that it moved one of its rooks one space and then literally called it a win. Even though it's most definitely not a checkmate in any form or fashion, it still called it a win and ended the game early. And this is the reason that Mac reacts the way that he does by pouring his drink into the chess wizard, completely blowing it up, because not only was the computer not fair in declaring its win whenever it didn't, but the entire system itself was broken from the very beginning. And yes, I did have to learn descriptive notation for chess to be able to understand and explain everything that just happened in this one little scene, but I'm sure that you can understand where I'm coming from, because what happens here is extremely important for understanding what happens at the end. Or at least, I hope you agree. Luckily, though, it seems like it was really good timing for Mac to do this, because this is whenever the Norwegian helicopter has finally made it up to the American base. As we see that our crew is trying to figure out exactly what's going on, this dog is still just running for its life. And then we have these two Norwegians that are currently getting out of the helicopter, trying their hardest to stop this dog from making it to the base. So hard, in fact, that one of them pulls a pin on a grenade, accidentally throws it backwards, and then runs over trying to find it in the snow. Not only does it blow him up, but it also, of course, blows up the helicopter. But we should have noticed how serious of a situation this was whenever the other Norwegian guy is still just running after the dog, not even focused on what just happened with, presumably, his friend, because he continues to shoot after this dog and runs up yelling in Norwegian. Which, if you don't speak Norwegian, what he said is that that is not a dog, it's some sort of thing, it's imitating a dog, it isn't real, get away, you idiots! Which clearly nobody here understands what he's saying, because if anybody did, they would have been yelling at Bennings, telling him to not let that dog lick him all over his hands and face. Which, think about it, this is a really weird reaction from a dog that has currently been running for its life after being shot at multiple times and having grenades thrown at it. Right, because a normal dog probably would have just continued running with its tail between its legs to find shelter or find safety, and not just stop at the first person that it comes to happily lick them all over their face and all over their hands. But as we know now from what the Norwegian just told us, this isn't a dog, this is some sort of thing. And the best way that it will ensure that it survives is to pass on its DNA to the next closest person. Sure enough, that's exactly what it's trying to do here. So Mr. Norway here realizes that he doesn't have any other options and has to take out this thing at any cost that he can. Sadly though, whenever he shoots, he only hits it in the leg and also hits Bennings in the leg. This causes the dog to take off, for everybody to jump to the side, because clearly this guy's got to be crazy, and for Gary, who is currently standing inside, to actually pull out his revolver and use it on this insane Norwegian. So now that the threat has been dealt with, we have McCready getting up, running over to check on Bennings, giving him his bottle of J&B, and then they're all headed over to deal with the fire at the helicopter. And I'm just going to point out, because it will come back up later, Bennings grabs the bottle with the same hand that the dog also licked, and then decides to take a drink exactly where the dog also decided it needed to lick. So while Bennings is getting him a drink, some of the crew is dealing with the fire at the helicopter. We have Clark coming out to actually take care of and to see what all is going on with the dog. And if you look closely, you can actually see that the dog has a wound from the gunshot on its back left leg. Does it really mean anything? Probably not. I just thought it was cool little detail, because it's not like we see Copper sewing up the dog just like he is Bennings here. And even if we did, I doubt that the dog would complain near as much as what Bennings does.
Oh, come on.
And somebody else who also has to constantly complain about what all is going on in their lives is Windows here, who is trying his hardest to call literally anybody to let them know what just happened. But he's not able to get a hold of anybody, and he tries to tell Blair this, and Blair just tells him,
get a hold of somebody. Get a hold of anybody. We've got to report this mess.
And then they continue to argue back and forth, because, of course, that's not how this works.
I doubt if anybody's talked to anybody on
To jest.
And this is whenever Knowles comes in to talk to Palmer, Norris, Childs, Copper, Bennings, Fuchs, and Gary about what all just happened. And listen, I know that there is a lot of names that I am currently spouting off, and if you haven't seen the movie in a while, you're probably like, who are all of these people? Whenever I was watching the movie for the first couple of times to make this video, I was having trouble just keeping up with who was who and exactly what names matched where, but now, of course, I've got them all down. Calculator button? No way. That's interesting. But I can tell you the two biggest things that helped me most were this picture, which just has all of them actually labeled on exactly who they are, and you can just try to commit it to memory. But there's also something at the very beginning of the strip that actually describes each one of the characters, so that way it can shine some light on who they are as well as how they act.
In the winter of 1982,
Tebe to sad interesuje kako će da radi.
Science Foundation to gather data concerning these physical and natural sciences on the continent
You
of
beat
Antarctica.
me, so you
McCready,
choose.
35,
What's on the menu?
helicopter pilot,
We
likes-
leave this
Yes,
place
that's
better than we
hates
found.
the cold. Pay is good. Gary, 46, station manager, stiff, ex-army officer, wears a handgun. Childs, 33, 6'4", 250, black, a mechanic, can be jolly, but don't mess. Blair, 50, senior biologist, edgy, inquisitive, overworked. Fuchs, 25, sensitive, intelligent, unassuming, an assistant biologist. Dr. Copper, 45, professional, a decent man, a good doctor. Palmer, 35, second string chopper
not bad.
pilot,
I
crack
promise.
mechanic, slight 60s acid rain. Knowles, 22, the cook, bright, black, irreverent, but kind-hearted, roller skates. Norris, 44, stocky, rugged-looking, a geophysicist, an incipient heart condition. Bennings, 38, a meteorologist, beautiful, an old crow. Clark, 24, the dog handler, likes it here, good at his job. Sanchez, 21, the radio operator, hates it here, lousy at his job.
So thanks to Crowmutchin for his help. I'm hoping that everybody will now be on the same page, that whenever they see this guy, that they're not thinking, well, that's just random crew member number 5, but you'll actually be able to know that this is the good doctor, Dr. Copper. So he goes to get McCready, or Mac, so that way he can have a pilot to fly over to the Norwegian base, and while they're leaving, we actually see that the dog is currently hanging out underneath the ping pong table. And this is whenever we jump
Imaju
forward a couple
obavez
hours, and
recimo
the only
gle
person
kako
that we see
zahtevaš
that is
ti,
actually up
recimo
and
ja u
around at
igru
this
sam
time
kažem
is
zahtevam da mi
Knowles, who
pišu
is in the
garanciju
kitchen
odmah.
because, of course, he's the cook. But the thing is, he's
Mora da
playing
ti
his
ispišu,
music
jel?
really loudly, and this makes Bennings mad, who, once more, decides to complain to everybody about it.
I'm trying to get some sleep. I was shot today.
So Knowles, of course, hears him out and does exactly what you would expect him to do. Because, I mean, do you want your food to taste good or not, Bennings? I mean, you got to pick one or the other. And it's just after this interaction that we get a slow pan around different rooms in the base and see that nobody's up and around, but it's interesting because it's as though we're slowly stalking through each room, just as the dog is currently doing from this room down the hallway, checking in on Bennings' room before it decides to continue over to somebody's bedroom. Who is this? Well, if we look and we compare all of the different silhouettes of every single person that is actually there at the crew, it could either be Windows because of the hair, it could be Norris, or it could be Palmer. Problem is, in reality, it's actually the stuntman Dick Warlock, because of course Carpenter had to keep it as ambiguous as possible, so that way nobody would really know who's in here. So just keep it in mind that as we move forward from here, that either Norris or Palmer were
Partizansko imaju
assimilated
i sajt,
right here
kako se
whenever the
zvao,
dog
ovaj.
entered the room. So have you got that? Okay, good, because everything's fixing to get a whole lot weirder whenever Mac and Copper show up over at the Norwegian
Nije
base
to
to find
tehnomanija,
that
ali
basically
treba
everything
viđati
is either
tehnomaniju.
frozen or burnt down. And as they enter the base, they're trying to figure out what on earth happened here. There's an axe just buried into the door for who knows what reason. We've also got giant holes that have been blown into the side of the base by probably explosions. And it's very clear that every single person that was there is no longer alive. And it's not like they just died of natural causes or even froze to death, because whenever Copper finds this guy over in the comm room, while he is frozen, that's clearly not what unalived him. And I'll be honest, I don't know how much of this I can actually show, but I can tell you that from listening to the commentary with John Carpenter, they were really worried about how this was actually going to look whenever they were filming it, because they kept filming it and they were like,